A massive trillion-dollar cardiovascular drug cartel is absolutely terrified that you are watching this video right now. There is a common $1 root sitting in the produce section of your local grocery store that is scientifically proven to permanently dissolve arterial plaque, repair aging blood vessels, and reverse cardiovascular disease. The medical establishment has known about the exact biological mechanism of this root for decades, yet they have spent billions of dollars burying the research to protect their highly toxic, immensely profitable statin drug empire. They want your arteries stiff, they want you terrified of a sudden heart attack, and they want you completely tethered to their expensive daily prescriptions until the day you die. Today, I am going to expose exactly what this cheap, life-saving root is, how the pharmaceutical industry engineered the greatest cholesterol lie in human history, and how you can use this simple root to literally power wash your arteries starting tomorrow morning. The cardiology industry is not designed to cure your heart disease. It is a meticulously engineered financial machine designed to manage your slow, terrifying cardiovascular decline. Think about the landscape of modern heart health. When an older adult walks into a clinic with slightly elevated blood pressure or a routine blood test showing a naturally age-adjusted cholesterol level, what happens? They are immediately subjected to a campaign of fear. The doctor looks at a chart, shakes their head gravely, and hands over a prescription for a statin drug. Statins are the most profitable class of pharmaceutical drugs ever created in the history of human civilization. They generate tens of billions of dollars every single year. But what exactly are these drugs doing to your body? They are artificial chemical inhibitors that travel to your liver and brutally shut down an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase, completely crippling your body's ability to produce cholesterol. The pharmaceutical industry has spent the last 40 years brainwashing the public and the medical community into believing that cholesterol is a deadly poison that actively clogs your arteries, like grease down a kitchen sink. This is a biological lie of staggering proportions. Cholesterol is one of the most vital, life-sustaining molecules in the human body. Your brain is composed of nearly 25% cholesterol. Every single hormone in your body, your testosterone, your estrogen, your cortisol, is synthesized from cholesterol. Every single cell membrane requires cholesterol to maintain its structural integrity. When you force a patient to take a statin, you are chemically starving their brain, their hormones, and their cells. This is exactly why the true suppressed side effects of statin drugs are catastrophic. Millions of seniors on these drugs experience devastating memory loss, severe cognitive decline, and a terrifying condition called statin-induced myopathy, where their actual skeletal muscle tissue begins to rapidly break down and dissolve, dumping toxic proteins into their kidneys. But the pharmaceutical cover-up goes even deeper. By blocking the HMG-CoA reductase enzyme, statins also block the production of a critical, life-saving molecule called coenzyme Q10. CoQ10 is the biological spark plug for your mitochondria. Your heart muscle requires massive, uninterrupted amounts of CoQ10 to beat effectively. By prescribing a statin to save your heart, the medical establishment is literally stripping your heart muscle of the exact cellular energy it needs to survive, leading directly to a massive increase in congestive heart failure. The industry knows this. The executives know this. But they bury the data, manipulate the clinical trials, and rewrite the standard of care guidelines to continuously lower the target cholesterol numbers, instantly transforming millions of perfectly healthy aging adults into dependent, lifelong patients overnight. If the public understood that true cardiovascular health had absolutely nothing to do with lowering cholesterol and everything to do with natural, unpatentable arterial repair, The trillion-dollar statin market would collapse into dust. Before we tear apart the biological mechanics of arterial disease and reveal the exact identity of this miraculous root, I must state clearly that I am an independent clinical researcher and content architect. I am not a cardiologist funded by the pharmaceutical lobby, and my loyalty lies with your biological sovereignty, not a hospital's quarterly earnings report. Therefore, while this information is strictly for educational and informational purposes, and you should always consult a medical professional who understands advanced vascular biochemistry before altering your daily regimen, I am going to give you the unfiltered, uncompromised truth. You have a fundamental right to a strong, resilient heart, and you have a right to know how your vascular system actually heals itself when you stop poisoning it with synthetic drugs. To understand why this $1 root is the ultimate antidote to cardiovascular disease, you must first completely unlearn the myth of the clogged pipe. Your arteries are not inanimate lead pipes that slowly fill up with cholesterol sludge. Your blood vessels are living, breathing, highly dynamic muscular tubes. And the absolute most important part of your entire cardiovascular system is a microscopic, single-cell thick layer that lines the inside of every single artery and vein in your body. This lining is called the endothelium. If you were to take all the endothelial cells in your body and lay them out flat, they would cover the surface area of several tennis courts. The endothelium is the command center of your cardiovascular health. In a young, healthy body, the endothelium acts exactly like non-stick Teflon. It is perfectly smooth, highly slippery, and heavily protected by a microscopic, hair-like forest called the endothelial glycocalyx. When your endothelium is healthy, blood flows effortlessly. Nothing can stick to it. But as we age, and as we are subjected to the brutal, inflammatory modern diet full of processed sugars, toxic seed oils, and chronic stress, a biological catastrophe occurs. These environmental toxins act like molecular sandpaper, ripping away the protective glycocalyx forest and physically tearing microscopic holes in your endothelial lining. Your arteries go from being slippery Teflon to becoming highly inflamed, sticky Velcro. This is called endothelial dysfunction, and it is the true, hidden cause of all heart disease. When your arterial walls are damaged and inflamed, your liver panics. It acts like an emergency dispatcher. It manufactures cholesterol and packages it into specialized vehicles called low-density lipoproteins, or LDL. The liver sends these LDL cholesterol firefighters directly to the site of the arterial damage to patch the microscopic tears. Cholesterol is not the fire, it is the firefighter trying to save your blood vessel from rupturing. But because the artery is so incredibly inflamed and bombarded by free radicals, the cholesterol gets trapped in the sticky, damaged Velcro of the arterial wall. Once trapped, it becomes oxidized. It rusts. Your immune system senses this rusted, oxidized cholesterol as a toxic foreign invader and sends in white blood cells called macrophages to eat the damage. These macrophages gorge themselves on the rusted cholesterol until they literally burst and die, forming a toxic inflammatory sludge known as a foam cell. This dead, toxic sludge slowly builds up inside the wall of the artery, pushing inward. This is what arterial plaque actually is. It is not grease floating in the pipe. It is a massive, inflamed cellular graveyard buried deep inside the wall of the artery itself. Statins do absolutely nothing to heal the endothelial damage. They do nothing to stop the oxidation. All they do is cripple the liver so it can't send the cholesterol firefighters to the scene of the crisis, leaving your arteries damaged, thin, and ready to rupture. To actually reverse heart disease, to literally dissolve the plaque and remodel the artery, you must heal the endothelium. You must turn the sticky Velcro back into slippery Teflon. And your body has an exact, specific biological signaling molecule designed to do precisely that. It is a miraculous, fleeting gas called nitric oxide. When nitric oxide is produced inside the blood vessel, it creates a biological miracle. It instantly forces the muscular walls of the artery to relax and expand, a process called vasodilation. This immediately drops your blood pressure and increases massive vital blood flow to your heart and brain. But more importantly, nitric oxide acts as a biological shield. It aggressively repels the white blood cells, completely halting the formation of new plaque. Furthermore, high sustained levels of nitric oxide actually signal the immune system to reverse the inflammatory process, slowly shrinking and dissolving existing plaque deposits back into the bloodstream to be harmlessly eliminated. But here is the devastating catch that the medical industry uses against you. In your 20s, your endothelial cells produce massive amounts of nitric oxide using a specific enzyme called UNOS. But as you age and as the endothelium becomes damaged, this enzyme completely breaks down. By the time you are 60 years old, your natural nitric oxide production has plummeted by a staggering 75%. Your arteries are suffocating, stiffening, and clamped down. The pharmaceutical industry wants you to believe there is no way to fix this naturally. They want to sell you synthetic blood pressure medications that forcefully manipulate your kidneys, completely ignoring the nitric oxide starvation. But there is a massive, highly suppressed back door into the nitric oxide pathway. There is a specific ancient root that contains an incredibly dense, highly specialized matrix of raw, inorganic dietary nitrates. When consumed correctly, these specific nitrates completely bypass the broken, age-damaged NOS enzymes in your arteries. They enter your bloodstream and are aggressively converted into massive torrential floods of pure nitric oxide gas directly inside the arterial wall. This suppressed, plaque-destroying miracle is the raw, deep purple-red beetroot. Do not roll your eyes and do not let the simplicity of this root deceive you. The billion-dollar statin cartel prays that you dismiss this. They want you to think of beets as nothing more than a boring, boiled side dish or a sugary pickled condiment in a jar. But in its raw, living, highly specific form, the Beta vulgaris taproot is the single most powerful cardiovascular medicine ever discovered by human science. The secret lies in the intense, dark purple pigment of the raw root. This pigment is a compound called betalain. Betalains are some of the most violently powerful anti-inflammatory antioxidants on the planet. When you consume raw beetroot, you are not just getting a massive payload of dietary nitrates. You are getting the betalain antioxidants acting as a biological bodyguard. The betalains travel into your bloodstream alongside the nitric oxide, destroying the free radicals and stopping the oxidation of cholesterol dead in its tracks. The betalains ensure that the nitric oxide survives long enough to reach the deepest, most heavily calcified, plaque-ridden sections of your coronary arteries, where it initiates the massive cellular cleanup. But you cannot simply eat a cooked beet and expect to cure your heart disease. The preparation, the sourcing, and the exact biological method of oral administration are absolutely critical. If you do this wrong, you will destroy the fragile nitrates, and the root will do absolutely nothing for your arteries. The medical industry relies on this ignorance. They know that if you try it the wrong way and it fails, you will go running straight back to their statin prescriptions. First, let us talk about sourcing. You must completely ignore any canned beets, pickled beets, or pre-cooked vacuum-sealed beets. The intense heat of the pasteurization and cooking process completely annihilates the delicate inorganic nitrates and obliterates the living enzymes required to process them. You must go to the produce section or a local organic farmer and purchase raw, unwashed, rock-hard red beetroots. They must be organic. Because beets grow directly in the soil, they are highly aggressive hyperaccumulators. If they are grown in conventional, pesticide-soaked soil, they will absorb the heavy metals and toxic chemicals, which will actually damage your endothelium further. You must buy organic, and they must be firm to the touch. If the root is squishy, the cellular structure has already begun to decay, and the nitrates have degraded. Now, here is the exact clinical cold press nitric oxide extraction protocol. This is how you unlock the unadulterated power of the root. Every single morning, upon waking, you will take one medium-sized, raw, organic red beetroot. Do not peel it. This is a massive mistake that almost everyone makes. The absolute highest concentration of dietary nitrates and betalain pigments is located in the fibrous matrix, just fractions of a millimeter beneath the outer skin. If you peel the beet with a knife, you are literally throwing the medicine into the garbage. You must simply scrub the outside of the root vigorously with a stiff vegetable brush under cold water to remove the dirt. You must extract the liquid from this root without using any heat. If you have a slow, masticating cold-press juicer, this is the perfect tool. It crushes the plant fibers and extracts the deep, blood-red liquid without introducing heat or excess oxygen. If you do not have a juicer, you can use a high-powered blender. Chop the scrubbed, unpeeled beetroot into small cubes and place them in the blender. Now you must add the biological catalysts. To exponentially increase the conversion of nitrates into nitric oxide, you must introduce a specific organic acid. Add 1/2 of a raw green Granny Smith apple. The high concentration of malic acid in the green apple acts as a chemical catalyst. Next, squeeze in the juice of 1/2 a fresh raw lemon. The raw vitamin C, or ascorbic acid, is absolutely vital. It stabilizes the nitric oxide in your stomach, preventing it from breaking down before it reaches your small intestine for absorption. Finally, add 1/2 cup of pure cold filtered water and blend on high until it is completely liquefied. If you used a blender, you must strain the liquid through a fine mesh sieve or a nut milk bag. You want only the smooth, deep red elixir, not the dense, heavy fiber that will delay gastric emptying. Now, the most critical step of the entire protocol. You cannot simply chug this elixir like a glass of water. If you do, you bypass the most important biological conversion mechanism in your entire body, your oral microbiome. Hidden in the deep crypts at the very back of your tongue are massive colonies of symbiotic anaerobic bacteria. These specific bacteria are the only organisms capable of performing the first critical step of the transformation, converting the plant nitrates into biological nitrites. If you swallow the beet juice instantly, this conversion does not happen, and the medicine fails. Therefore, you must take a large mouthful of the raw beetroot elixir and actively swish it around your mouth, chewing the liquid, coating the back of your tongue for a minimum of 15 to 20 seconds before swallowing. You must do this for the entire glass. And hear me clearly on this. If you use a commercial, alcohol-based mouthwash or a harsh antibacterial toothpaste, you are actively murdering these life-saving bacteria. Using antiseptic mouthwash completely eradicates your body's ability to produce nitric oxide from food, instantly skyrocketing your blood pressure and accelerating arterial decay. You must throw your toxic mouthwashes in the trash immediately to allow your oral microbiome to rebuild. What exactly happens to your cardiovascular system when you begin this precise daily raw beetroot protocol? Let us map out the exact timeline of your arterial restoration. On day 1, the effects are immediate and profound. Within 45 minutes of swallowing the elixir, the nitrates hit your bloodstream and the massive nitric oxide conversion occurs. The smooth muscle lining of your arteries violently relaxes. The most immediate sensation you will experience is a sudden, deep warmth in your hands and feet. This is the microvascular circulation opening up. Your blood pressure will begin to drop naturally and safely as the 60,000 miles of blood vessels in your body expand. You will feel a sudden rush of clean, non-jittery energy as your heart no longer has to strain and violently pump against stiff, clamped-down pipes. By day 7, the healing of the endothelial glycocalyx is fully underway. The betalain antioxidants are neutralizing the free radicals in your bloodstream. The inflammation that was turning your arteries into sticky Velcro is being extinguished. You will begin to notice a profound shift in your cognitive function. The brain fog that has plagued you for years will lift. Why? Because the microscopic capillaries feeding your brain cells, which have been starving for blood flow, are finally dilated and delivering massive amounts of oxygen and glucose to your neurons. You will wake up feeling sharper, more present, and deeply rested. By day 14, you reach the structural repair phase. This is when the permanent reversal begins. Because the nitric oxide levels in your blood are now constantly elevated, the biological signal is sent to the macrophages, the immune cells inside the plaque. The nitric oxide commands them to stop accumulating. The plaque stops growing. Then the process of reverse cholesterol transport begins. The inflamed oxidized lipids are slowly drawn out of the arterial wall, bound to high-density lipoproteins, and safely carried back to the liver to be destroyed. You will find that your physical stamina skyrockets. You will be able to climb stairs, go for long walks, and exert yourself without the terrifying tightness in your chest or the heavy, agonizing fatigue in your legs. Your heart is finally receiving the oxygen it has been begging for. By day 30, you have effectively executed a total hemodynamic reset. You have biologically bypassed the broken ENOS enzymes of your youth. You have restored the slippery Teflon coating of your endothelium. You have softened and begun to actively dissolve the deadly plaque hidden inside your vascular walls. You have achieved a level of true cardiovascular healing that the billion-dollar statin industry claims is absolutely impossible. You are no longer managing your decline. You are actively, aggressively reversing your biological age. To maintain this impenetrable, bulletproof cardiovascular system, you simply continue this $1 cold press extraction ritual every single morning for the rest of your life. It is the ultimate, natural insurance policy against the terrifying specter of heart disease. You do not need to destroy your muscles, your memory, and your liver with toxic synthetic chemical inhibitors. You just need to respect the unforgiving biochemistry of your own body and provide it with the exact raw molecular codes it desperately needs to heal itself. The medical establishment wants you to believe that your heart is a ticking time bomb. They want you sitting nervously in an examination room, accepting their failed drugs, and believing that your biological decay is inevitable. They want you compliant, fearful, and infinitely profitable. But they are wrong. Your cardiovascular system is a magnificent, self-repairing engine of life, and it will fiercely defend your health if you simply remove the toxins and give it the raw nitric oxide precursors it requires. Raw organic beetroot is that key. It is the cheap, natural, unpatentable miracle that washes away the rust and secures your future. If this deep dive into the suppressed science of endothelial health has shattered the illusions you've been sold, if you are absolutely furious at the billion-dollar lies of the statin cartel and are ready to take sovereign control of your cardiovascular destiny, you need to take action right now. Hit the subscribe button below so you never miss another explosive, uncensored expose on the true biological healing protocols the medical industry is desperately trying to hide from you. I have also placed direct, highly vetted links in the description box below to the exact cold press masticating juicers you need to perform this extraction without destroying the enzymes. If you absolutely cannot find raw organic beets, I have also linked the only pure, low-heat dehydrated organic beetroot extract powders that strictly maintain the nitrate and betalain integrity. Do not gamble your life on cheap, sugar-spiked powders or toxic statins. Check the description, get the right tools, start your extraction tomorrow morning, and take your heart back.